Great. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm Dr. Candace Waddell-Henowitch, and we're here to present the launch of our Intimate Partner Violence, Sexual Violence Rural Remote Northern Resource Guide. So just before we get started, I'm just going to do a little bit of a land acknowledgement. I'd like to acknowledge that we're here on Treaty 2 lands, and this is the land of the Dakota Iote, as well as the Anishinaabe and the homeland of the Métis Nation. As part of the research group, we work really hard and we consider the murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls and the terms of reference and the calls to action for the violence against our Indigenous women and girls. And we also like to recognize that colonization and oppression continues to provide unsafe environments for a lot of our Indigenous women and girls. So we just like to acknowledge that and know that we take that to heart with us in all the work that we do. Now, I hate public speaking, and I'd like to be able to showcase some of my team. So Krista Murray, our Research Assistant 4, is going to be MC for you today, and she's going to lead us through all the different speakers that we have. So thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you, Candace. I feel like I have the easy job because I just have to say people's names. So first up today is Hilary Derianchuk. She's one of the research assistants who did a lot of the groundwork for this project. So please join me in welcoming Hilary.
Hello everyone, my name is Hilary Derianchuk and I'm a member of Brandon University's Rural Remote and Northern Gendered Violence Research Program. Thank you for joining us today in celebrating the release of a guide to intimate partner violence and sexual violence resources in rural, remote, and northern Manitoba. This project has been over a year in the making, and it started with an environmental scan to find all of the organizations that provide services for those needing help with intimate partner violence and sexual violence. We talked to each organization to determine some standard information, such as do they provide shelter, do they provide support for intimate partner violence and sexual violence, do they provide counseling or advocacy, have a protection order designate, or offer virtual care. Additionally, we also looked to see if they had transitional housing, transportation, and childcare. Each organization, in addition to the standardized questions, also provided written information on what they do and how they help. From there, we worked with our GSI map technician, David, who helped place each of these amazing organizations on an easy-to-read map. The next step was to collaborate with our fantastic graphic artist, Marissa, to create a beautiful booklet that has all these resources in one spot. Our goal with this resource was to create a document that provides information in one spot that can be utilized by individuals, healthcare providers, and community organizations to help those suffering from gender-based violence. We are happy to announce that the resource is finalized and it has been transferred to the Manitoba Association of Women's Shelters and Clinic with a K for updating and distribution. I want to take a second to acknowledge that the members of our Rural, Remote, and Northern Gendered Violence Research Program team. Dr. Candace Waddell-Henowitch, Nadine Smith, Andrea Thompson, Krista Murray, Ashley Stewart, Tracy Young, Megan Vandy Spiegel, but also a huge thank you to Savannah Torres, Rainer Shira, David Vo, Marissa Mayhew, and to all the funders and supporters of the project. Specifically, the financial contributions from the Faculty of Health Studies, Brandon University Research Committee, the Center for Critical Studies of Rural Mental Health, and Gender and Women's Studies. Then also the community collaborations from Moz and Clinic. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Hilary, for that wonderful introduction. Next up, we have Sue Mavingi Van Landegem. She is the provincial coordinator for the Manitoba Association of Women's Shelters. So please join me in welcoming Sue.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome. Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here today. Today, we take a meaningful step towards safety and dignity and healing in rural and remote Manitoba with the launch of the Intimate Partner and Sexual Violence Resource Guide. This guide was created in response to an urgent and undeniable need. When we look at the statistics, as of 2018, 44% of Canadian women in relationships had experienced intimate partner violence, and 4.7 million women had faced sexual violence since the age of 15. Let those numbers sink in. For women in rural, remote, and northern regions, the risk is even higher, and the barriers to timely, appropriate support are far greater. This resource guide emerges from a deep desire to close that gap, to understand which organizations in these regions offer support, and to ensure survivors know where to turn. It brings together crisis services, shelters, culturally informed supports, medical care, and safety planning tools in one accessible place. For survivors and victims, this guide offers more than information. It offers connection in moments of isolation, clarity in times of confusion, and hope when it feels out of reach. It strengthens communities, and it equips service providers to respond with compassion and confidence. On behalf of Manitoba Association of Women's Shelters, we would like to thank Brandon University for their work in creating this much-needed resource. We're excited for this partnership in conjunction with Clinic to ensure that women in rural and remote communities know where to go to find support at the most vulnerable and challenging time in their lives. And thank you to every partner who helped to make this possible. Together, we affirm that help is here and no one has to face violence alone. Thank you.
Thank you for those powerful words, Sue. Next up, we have Ashley Stewart, who is the coordinator of the Hummingbird program at Clinic in Winnipeg. So come on up, Ashley.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us and having Clinic as part of this really important resource. The Hummingbird program is a program at Clinic Community Health that's based in Winnipeg that supports people of gender-based violence, including sexual assault and intimate partner violence. We see folks from all over Manitoba, including rural and remote areas of all gender expressions. Some of the services we have in Hummingbird are having advocates that will walk alongside folks who are experiencing violence, provide information on what their resources are and the supports. They are protection order designates. We also have system navigation to help people navigate what sort of resources that they might want to access. We have specially trained forensic nurses who have specialized training to care for people who are impacted by violence, counseling, and finally a 24-hour crisis line that is available to anyone across the province. Clinic is really excited to partner with Brandon University and Moz with this important resource that will primarily equip people with information on where they can get help and supports. We know one of the hallmarks of trauma-informed care is to give people information about where they can receive help and access. We will use this resource on a daily basis when we're helping people from across Manitoba navigate the violence that they've encountered. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Ashley. It's exciting to hear how the resource is going to be used on a daily basis and how it can be used to support members of our community. Next up, we have Colleen Robbins, the MLA for Sprucewood. So please, let's welcome Colleen.
I just want to thank the Brandon University for having me here today on this very important discussion and this great guide that the research, good job. We need this. Just a little bit background. I just got elected in August, and one of my first reach outs was a victim of intimate partner violence. So I knew very little actually about it. So I went to meet her and got me into meeting Dr. Michael Ellis out of Winnipeg that had this wonderful program going to help women from northern rural areas. And he is a brain injury specialist doctor and was seeing women for their injuries sustained from their intimate partners. And he told me that the program was canceled in May. And I said, like, why? And he says, no reason given. So I said, I will advocate that this program comes again. After listening to the stories from the victims and the survivors, is what I like to call them, as survivors, because they were a victim, but now they're survivors. And the girl that was with me that introduced me to this was an advocate, and she sits on several boards now to get this out there. And it made me motivated to be here for all women of violence, whether it is intimate partner, sexual, gender. It needs to be heard. So I did a private member statement on it in the legislature and invited the doctors, the victim, or the survivor, and had them come in, and I did a private member statement on intimate partner violence for November. But one statement I said in there, November is the awareness month, but we can't just have awareness. We have to have awareness plus action. Action needs to happen, and we can't do it alone. But people like you guys bringing this forefront, an easy, accessible book to let that person know what to do, that is a great step moving forward. And we really, really, it doesn't matter who you are, violence is not acceptable and never should be. So I want to thank everybody that worked on this book and guide to help these survivors. They need it. And rural and northern Manitoba, northern areas in the country, this Dr. Ellis that I was telling you about, he started the program basically because when he went to Nunavut, he could not believe the intimate partner violence that was happening at the rate it was happening. But these people had nowhere to go. They're way up in an isolated area. Rural Manitoba, we have small towns, everyone knows everyone. So how do you go to that clinic to say the mother could work at that clinic, the sister could work at that clinic, the aunt? So we need these resources to help reach out to these people. So I want to again say thank you, and I will be in advocacy always for this, and we'll bring it forward as much as I can to get that program going again in Winnipeg, but to helping us in Westman and all of our great groups out here. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Next up, we have Dr. Bernadette Ardelli, the Vice President of Research and Graduate Studies.
Today we are launching the Rural, Remote, and Northern Manitoba Intimate Partner and Sexual Violence Resource Guide, a tool designed to ensure that every survivor of intimate partner and sexual violence, no matter where they live, knows where to access clear, reliable, and culturally informed support. Violence does not discriminate by geography, but access to help too often does. Survivors in rural, remote, and northern regions face unique barriers. Distance and limited transportation options, the scarcity of specialized services, concerns about privacy in small communities, and the realities of living far from major centers all make it harder for individuals to find safety and support. These challenges are further magnified for Indigenous women and girls, for two-spirit and gender-diverse people, for newcomers, for youth, and for individuals with disabilities. This guide is one way we can begin to close those gaps. It brings together information across agencies, jurisdictions, and service networks. It offers clear pathways for accessing crisis support, emergency shelters, counseling, and cultural or land-based healing, and it provides region-specific listings so individuals know what is available closest to home. I do not view the launch of this guide as an endpoint. It is a beginning. A resource like this must remain dynamic, updated as services evolve, expanded as partnerships grow, and strengthened through the continued engagement of the communities it serves. Its value depends on the collective commitment to maintaining it, sharing it, and listening to those who rely on it. This is because the journey of healing from intimate partner or sexual violence is deeply personal, and there is no typical timeline. For many survivors, the impacts of trauma can surface and resurface over months, years, or even decades. Recovery is not linear. It unfolds at the pace that feels safe for each individual. Recognizing that there is no fixed timeline for healing is essential, and it is why this resource guide is so important. Its purpose is to ensure that whenever a survivor is ready, whether immediately or far into the future, clear, culturally grounded, and accessible pathways to support are available. The commitment must be long-term to meet survivors where they are, honor their experience, and ensure that help is never out of reach, no matter how much time has passed. It is my hope that this guide becomes a trusted tool for survivors, service providers, educators, and community leaders. But beyond that, I hope it reinforces a fundamental truth. Every person in Manitoba deserves safety, dignity, and access to the support they need, regardless of geography, background, or circumstances. I want to extend my sincere thanks to everyone who contributed to this guide. I also want to acknowledge the survivors who are with us today, whether in person or in spirit. Your courage, your resilience, and your voices guide this work. I would encourage everyone to help share this resource widely. Together we can ensure that no survivor faces violence alone, and that they know that support is never out of reach.
Thank you, Dr. Ardelli. It's wonderful to see so much support for the resource, right? This little, I shouldn't say little project, but what was the budget, Candace? $2,500. This is what this team was able to accomplish. With maybe a little bit extra here and there. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you to the organizations who came out. And thank you to you, the audience.